Check, check, check. Check, check. Man, that is a random recording I did where I just played furiously freeform, recorded it. I did it several times and I just like dropped the files on top of each other and mix and matched. I was into some weird stuff. And I called it Sixth Floor because when I was in grad school, the sixth floor was where all the drummers were. So you could walk down the hallways and it basically sounded like this. You would just hear this all day long. So this is my ode to you arts. Is the lavalier loud enough? Check 1, 2, check. Pretty funny. I was doing all kinds of weird stuff. I just found this on my old iPhone. There's more. This was called Drum Experiments. Let's not do that one. So many. Oh, what's this? Oh, I can play along to this. This is a loop I made years ago. Let's see. How long is it? Feels like a lifetime ago that I was making all these weird loops. That was actually for my Patreon subscribers. Mike, what's up, man? Happy Friday to you. Ryan, thank you for tuning in. Glad you're enjoying it. I have spent a little bit of time today, hang on, color grading a little bit. So it should be a little bit richer color. Hopefully not oversaturated. Try not to become super streamer nerd, but I'm kind of liking this vibe. I got this one a little bit brighter. Yeah. Anyway, the old Swedish drummer. Yes, multitasking. Name of the gig. Name of the job. I'll probably be checking emails because I'm still dealing with all that. Giannis, what's happening? So I got another, I got a whole bunch of these loops here that I haven't played to in many, many years. Let's see what the next one is. Ooh, super loud. Obviously didn't master these. Ah, this was my old clinic loop. Cool. Well, since this loop came up, I'm gonna go into my little bit of what this is all about. I called this, I did this at PASIC, Unlock Your Creativity. This was chapter 1, Stickings. So let me go to the main shot here. Actually, we'll go to this one. So the first concept is playing, pick a subdivision. So 16th notes, pick a time signature. We're in 3/4, and then just play singles, and some of the right hands can be doubled. So grab my pad. So you start with just a bed of 16ths. Oh, Ryan, you were at the PASIC clinic. It snowed. We almost got stuck. So that's the concept. I'm just playing 16ths, and every once in a while throwing in a right hand double. 2, 3. Which that kind of covers all of the stick control variations of singles and doubles and paradiddles just by improvising. And then you can kind of create some contour by accenting all of the rights. I have no idea what that chord was, probably because I think I made it on a Nord drum, one of the preset patches, and just kind of jammed on it. So it's probably that. That's what you're hearing? That's probably what it is. So now you accent all the rights. 2, 3. That's one option, or you can do the opposite, accent all the lefts, which is going to emphasize a lot of the offbeats. 2, 3. Right, that's 2 options. I have a whole matrix on a sheet that I kind of explains all the options. You can accent some of the rights. Do the opposite, accent. Any tips for jazz drumming? Yes, I will get to that once I finish this quick crash course on this thing. Some of the lefts. And then from there, you just kind of play whatever with singles and some right-hand doubles. So on and so forth. I would probably kind of flesh this out more specifically later because I wasn't planning on doing this right now. But then on the kit, all right, so that's applying all of that to so on and so forth. So all of that was just improvised. It freed me up to not have to learn patterns and not have to think about what's a beat and what's a fill, because literally if you just move from here, kind of just becomes this ever-flowing thing. So anyway, that's my crash course on some of the stuff I teach in clinics. Unlock your creativity stickings. I have a whole other thing too. Okay, Simon, since you asked a question, any tips for jazz drumming, general things to keep in mind? I can keep the swing going, but dropping bombs and fills are a challenge for me. Well, the first thing you have to do is spend time with all the variations of where you can accent something. So let's go to the beginning here. Let me pick a tempo. 120 is always good. Now the swing feel itself, the best kind of, what would you call it, onomatopoeia, walk the dog. walk the dog, walk the dog, walk the dog, walk the dog. So your motor, feathering the bass drum, 2 and 4, should be able to do this. Whether or not you ultimately feather is a creative decision, but you need to be able to do this. And then just play walk the dog on top. So just go through every placement of one single eighth note throughout the whole measure and just take your time. Don't rush through it. All right, that was just one single eighth note being permutated through all the possible spots just on the snare drum. Hey Dan, this stream reminds you of Dan Drumstone. Well, he's the one who basically made me do this because he hooked me up with this computer. So if it reminds you of Dan, that's great. Dan's awesome, one of the coolest dudes. And if you don't know Dan's channel, go check it out. I think he's mostly on Twitch, but he's also here on YouTube. Dan Drumstone. One of the real dudes. Okay, so that's a single note on the snare drum. You can do the same thing with double notes. I won't do all the variations, but same process, just do 4 times each. So you asked things to keep in mind. The most important thing is that these elements are smooth and sailing. The stuff we do on the snare drum is in support of that. So any moment where this feels like it's getting disrupted, you gotta spend more time with that variation. So even with 2 notes, there's so many because you can start spacing them out. So put it on 1 and of 2. So now you asked about fills. I would do the exact same thing. So whatever figure you're playing on the snare, so in that case 1 and, that becomes the accent, and fill in all the triplets around it. That's a simple way to kind of add to your fill vocabulary while also reinforcing these very basic figures. So the more complicated the figures get, the more interesting the fills get. What's another one? Well, we'll just steal from syncopation. 1 and 3, 4. You can play double stops. You could play the figure with just the right hand and fill in all the triplets with the left. Now you're getting into all these variations. You can diddle all the unaccented notes. Ralph, yes, welcome to the stream. I'm not doing syncopation per se, but I just grabbed like one example to talk about how you can use that for comping and fills. So I'm taking that figure 1 and 3, 4, and diddling all the unaccented notes. Yeah, that's a good point. I think John leaves out fills on purpose in that book because it's a different mindset. Like funk, rock, pop, fills are used to transition to different sections of the song, but in jazz it's a repeated form that there's not always like an obvious distinct, like this is the breakdown, this is the chorus, because the whole thing is considered a chorus. So the fills are less fills and they're more like embellishments and just adding density to what you're already playing. If I can demonstrate any of it. Like when I try to go to a fill, it kind of breaks me out of the idea of I'm just creating swells and dynamics and contrasts and leading to the end of 8-bar phrases. I don't really think of it like let me play the fill now. That usually kind of breaks the flow. So that's probably why I haven't talked to John about this, but he doesn't do too much on fills and that kind of stuff in that first book. But that's what I would do, is just sing a figure, play a figure, and then just start moving it around. So think call and response. Maybe play the figure 3 times, 4th time, improvise something else. And when that happens is the best thing, because I discovered an independence thing that didn't work out right. I was trying to do So Simon, let me know if that's helping you in any way. Simplify the thought process. Think melodically, sing a figure, play it on the kit different ways, and then think of like an answer to whatever that figure might be. And you'll just develop a vocabulary that flows. Always think in 4-bar phrases, 8-bar phrases. If you listen to, if you listen to Billy Higgins on almost any Blue Note record, it's subtle, but he ends almost every 4 or 8-bar phrase with a push on the bass drum. So it would be like this. And you play it double time. That's something that I kind of picked up with Billy Higgins, how he kind of organizes his phrasing. And then Tony Williams in the early days kind of did the same thing, and just at a more, I won't say sophisticated, but more technical level, which I was kind of doing there on that double time example. Digga-dum, 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 digga-da-goom. He does a lot of that kind of stuff. So I'm kind of flying through a lot of concepts for you there, but aim for the end of 4 every 4, 8 bars, 12 bars, 16 bars, and that will lead you, your comping and your quote-unquote fills in a kind of logical, musical way. Well, we've kind of gone way off anything that I was thinking about doing today, which is cool. I'm glad I found this random playlist of loops. What else is in here? Berimbau Funk. What's up, BB? That's a fun one. Not a plug, but all this stuff is still available on my Patreon page. It's been dormant ever since I had a non-compete issue with my previous gig, but I'm going to revive that sucker. So if you're interested in any of this stuff, it is available over on Patreon. Just look for Mike Dawson Drums. All these loops, I think, should still be there for download, along with some other lessons and assorted stuff. So any interest, I will definitely be kicking that page back into gear very soon, probably next week. What's up, Mike? Yeah, I should probably start putting my phone on silent. No one's called me yet. So far, so good. What else can I do here? I was going to mess around with different snares, but I'm kind of loving this Jatoba. Blue Note Records, I recommend, Simon, almost anything on that record label. Billy Higgins, Lee Morgan with Billy Higgins on Sidewinder. Dexter Gordon, Billy Higgins is on Go. You really can't go wrong with Blue Note. That's the best part about them, is they only put out good stuff. All the Hank Mobley, there's a Roll Call and Soul Station with Art Blakey. Perfect records, in my opinion. There's probably a playlist here. Blue Note, let's see. But there's just so much. That whole label, that label from beginning to end. Blue Note Classics, yeah. I think if you just search for, Art Blakey, Billy Higgins, Philly Joe's on a few. I think Coltrane has, is Blue Train on Blue Note, I think. All the, Herbie Hancock, Watermelon Man. Yeah, Blue Train is on Blue Note. That's with Philly Joe Jones. There's so many. Cantaloupe Island by Herbie Hancock with a young Tony Williams. Speak No Evil by Wayne Shorter with Elvin Jones. That's another one, might be an absolutely perfect record. So many. McCoy Tyner. Oh, what is that? No, Cantaloupe Island is not the album. It's called Empyrean. Here it is. I don't want to get claimed. Empyrean Isles is the record with Tony Williams. So many. Just find some playlists. Germs, thank you for tuning in. Appreciate you. Try to just share whatever I can. Keeping it real. No BS, hopefully, on this stream. Yeah, so this Jatoba snare, I kind of don't want to change it. I think I had a comment on the last one asking what heads am I using. This is an Evans G1 coated. That's my default snare drum head. I will sometimes use a G2 on deeper drums. And a UV1 on some of my gigging drums, and I just don't want to burn through because the G1 the coating will wear out relatively quickly if you're really kind of smashing. This has the original old logo 300 series on the bottom. 20 strand steel German style wires. On the toms, I have G12 coated, which is kind of a special head that if you never checked it out. Hey Will, what's up? Yeah, There's tons to learn, trust me. Just start playing on the records. Find records that you enjoy and they're within your kind of level of comprehension for jazz. So maybe stuff that's more kind of blues oriented, and just play along to it and just learn by osmosis. Just keep up, listen, try to, note the form and where the chords change, why, when, and where and why the drum parts change. Kind of Blues a good one, Freddie Freeloader. So What, that record. Pretty much any Art Blakey record is a master class. But yeah, that's what I would suggest, is don't go to like John Coltrane and Love Supreme or something, because that's just, it's like calculus, advanced calculus. Just find stuff you enjoy, stuff you understand, and just play along to it. So yeah, heads, coated G12, kind of the secret weapon. It's a 12 mil instead of a 10 mil head. So a little bit thicker, so it gives you a little bit more kind of punch without being a 2-ply. That's on top, and then a coated G1 on bottom. Bass drum, this little guy, UV EQ4 batter, and then whatever their smooth white resonant head is with no hole. I have a little towel, or a t-shirt, no, that's a towel, kind of folded up and in between the pedal and the bass drum head. That's the only muffling. But the EQ4 has a damping ring. No muffling on any of the other drums. So that's the, yeah, that's drum heads. Do I grab? No, I'm not going to change drums yet. I think I'm going to change the kit out for next week, because I've got the Red Oyster Pearl kit, which has 10, 12, or 12, 14, 18. And I got some concert toms to go with that. So I'm probably going to swap those out for next week. But this kit's kind of a vibe. It's keeping me in a bebop mindset, or that kind of soul jazz kind of mindset. Whereas the other kit, I think, will be a little bit more, I could do a little bit more different styles. Yeah, love playing along to Art Blakey records. I mean, you could play along to Moanin', just that song alone, and if you can't figure out how to play a shuffle after playing along to that tune, you're in trouble, because it's deep. It's deep. Is that Mickey or Mikey? Sorry, M-I-C-K-E. I guess it's Mick. Where are you from, Mick? Great to see you live streaming. Is this a new room? Any tips for someone who'd like to build a drum room studio at home? This is it's my office in my house, lower level. It's sort of half underground. My house is built into a hill, and this is like the southwest corner. So there's a window back there that I've covered with Audimute sheets. They're called Sorber sheets. That kind of blocks the sound from going outside the window. And this is a small office, like 12-foot box, basically. I'll go to the widescreen here. And all of this stuff, custom designed by Audimute. I had them, Sweden. All right, good to see you. This is all custom designed Acousta-Wood by Audimute. So I hired them to design this room. So I sent them pictures of everything, inspected out, and they did like a digital rendering of what the room would look like. I told them just make it look cool. They showed me this blue stuff, and I was like, that's perfect, because I have that Rodney Mullen skateboard over there. So this is actually recycled paper that's been formed into what looks like planks of wood, and they can put anything on it. That wood grain look is actually just a printing on a fabric. And so that knocks it basically turns, it's not soundproofing, but it removes pretty much all reflections. And so this room just sounds like there's no room. So what you're hearing is there's almost no natural reverb in here. You're just hearing a little bit of fake reverb from the board. So Audimute, I would highly recommend if you want a full-on custom setup. There's like no slapback at all. There's a few things on the ceiling. These two walls are completely treated. The wall by my work computer has some strategic kind of polygon things, and that's it. I mean, you can still hear it in the house, but the before and after in here when there was nothing, it was like I was in a cave, and you could hear it for miles. and it just sounds like a loud stereo if you're in the upstairs. So Audimute, highly recommended. It's not super cheap, but they're also, you know, they're competitive. They're giving you the best possible price they can to do a full custom setup like this. So yeah, you can't really see the rest of the room. Yeah, you can see over there, it's not as treated. Like that's just walls with, up here, there's some polygon stuff behind my computer. And then over here, that black area is Sorber sheets that you can remove. They're just heavy blankets, basically. And then, yeah, so I got this wall completely treated, and then the wall behind me completely treated, and then the ceiling is, you know, treated with these big polygonal things. I think it sounds good. I can play in here at any time and not disturb anyone. I mean, I don't rock out super late at night when my wife is trying to sleep, but she said you can't really hear it either. I did have to cover up the AC vent in the ceiling with like this magnetic like sheet, because that vent goes right to the master bathroom, which then feeds sound right into the bedroom. But that seems to do the trick too. It just gets a little stuffy in here sometimes. Let's see, let me find another. It's kind of having fun messing with these weird loops. Where did they go though? Let's see. There they are. Patreon loop packs #1. Trap style. What the heck is that? Yeah, I've heard that one before. Let's see. Interesting. Sort of 12/8. Hey, I missed a few of you here. Vince, what's up? Let me stop this thing from doing what it does. Good to see you. You've been in this place. I think if you didn't see the first 2 streams, I was playing along to that duo record. So thank you for hipping me to that. There was a question here. What symbols are those? James Angel. These are Nicky Moon Old World series. Nicky Moon these are handmade by my good friend Nick Marguerite. These are his old K style, but he's not trying to replicate that. It's just his take on an old K. So it's 22. This is a big bell, which is kind of unusual for the series. One series Old World 22, one series Old World 20 with a more integrated bell. I would say this is probably a medium, and this is a thin, and then a thin 18 Old World 14-inch hi-hats. You can see them a little bit better from here. Yeah, and I have a ProMark Sizzler chain thing on the 18. Yeah, so that's the Nicky Moon Old World series. Highly recommend you check out his stuff. He's a good dude. He's doing it the right way. Literally hammering this stuff in his basement workshop. Brian, what's up, man? Good to see you. Cameras. So this one I'm talking to now, this is a Panasonic GH5S. Panasonic GH5. And then these two guys are Panasonic GH2s, which I'm probably going to upgrade these because I think they're kind of rastering a little bit. But these GH5s kind of rock. So that's the 5S, that's the 5, and these are both GH2s. Those are the cameras. And these are not mine. These are owned by Drum Factory Direct. I have Canon EOS RP in the other studio that I use for like snare drum demos in the other room. All right, what else? Probably getting to the time when I need to log off and start editing some photos for work. Let's see, I'm gonna play one more of those tunes off of Duo. I'm gonna go back and maybe do Show Complete Album. I'm gonna do Stablemates again. All right, that was Stablemates off of Cedar Walton David Williams record Duo. Highly recommend playing along to Duo records if you can. There's no click. They probably played it one time through, so you have to make little adjustments. Have to learn the tune. Like that one has a slightly unconventional form. I don't know if you've caught that, but there's an extended couple bars in the A section that I had to kind of count out the first time through, like what is actually happening and where does it go to that sort of Latin thing in the form. So yeah, that's a great record. I'm probably going to sign off here. If there's any other last questions, hopefully it looks cool. I did a little bit of color correction to kind of bring in the warmth of this guy behind me. Hopefully the audio's good. Mike, thank you. Your drums sound so amazing as usual, and that jazz lesson was awesome. Glad you dug it. I will certainly do a lot more of that. I'm keeping the stream kind of open-ended and free form, but if there's any requests, I'm playing this week. I'm playing all jazz stuff because of just because of the kit I have. The kit makes me play a certain way. We can do more of that. I know jazz is not everyone's favorite style of music, but I firmly believe that all drum set playing can benefit from studying and applying some concepts that are in jazz music, because that's ultimately what created the vocabulary of the drum set. Maybe excluding some extreme like math metal or something that doesn't have any kind of swing to it. But that's my bias. I think all drum set playing can benefit from a little bit of jazz studies. I'm not a jazz drummer. I play mostly top 40 music when I'm gigging, but I spend a lot of time studying it and I just love it. So I'll share whatever I can. Ryan, thank you for the stream. Everything's sounding good. Awesome. Appreciate you. Okay, that's it for now. Again, I didn't mean to promote it, but since it kind of popped up, if you want any of those loops I was playing to, they are available on my Patreon page. Just look for Mike Dawson Drums. The page has been dormant for a couple years. At some point, I'll go into why that had to happen, but it was a bit of a non-compete issue I ran into with my previous employer, but I'm going to get back on that thing. So thank you all. Have a good weekend. Yes, G12s on the toms. I don't put it on the snare. I have it on some snares, but like that walnut right here has the G12 on it. I'll probably pull that one out next week then. But it's a great head. If you haven't checked out Evans G12 coated, I highly recommend it. Okay, peace out.